us. We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
The Indians got just enough on offense yesterday, and Danny Salazar did the rest, mowing down 10 Twins in 6 innings in his first start of the season for the Tribe. Now the Indians go for their second straight road series win on the year, and TJ House can't wait to put a rough start against the Tigers behind him next on Sports Time Ohio. It's a cloudy, gray day at Target Field in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the Indians and the Twins will play the rubber match in their 3-game series. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Indians beat the Twins yesterday behind a strong starting pitching performance by Danny Salazar and 3 hitless innings from the Indians' bullpen. But the emerging story is the awakening Indians offense. They scratched out 4 runs on 8 hits, and 3 of those hits belong to Roberto Perez.
Boy, what an afternoon for Roberto Perez. He seems to like to hit into this ballpark because he had 3 hits yesterday, and that was a bomb. He leads the team in home runs, believe it or not. That was his second run, and then he blooped one in for hit number 2, and what do you know? It's another line drive. So he had a very good afternoon. Not only that, defensively he came out, and he is going to get the bulk of the playing for the Indians now that he is, the backup catcher that is playing every day. So Roberto Perez, a good afternoon. We'll see if he can get TJ House on the move in the right direction today.
When we come back, we'll take a look at today's pitching matchup as TJ House takes the mound for the Tribe against this Twins lineup, and that's coming up next. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Minnesota. Indians and the Twins just a few minutes away from getting the series finale underway today. TJ House will be on the mound for the Tribe. And Rick, He's never lost to the Minnesota Twins. He's beaten them 3 straight times, and his ERA is just over 2.
Yeah, he's pitched very well against him in his career. He'll be making start number 5. He's 3-0, an ERA of 2.01. So that's his best ERA against any ball club, and he's pitched very well in this ballpark. So I think this is exactly what he needed to see. A nice ballpark to pitch in and a lineup he's had success against.
Big power pitcher Trevor May, 6'5", going for the Minnesota Twins. And we'll see how it plays out this afternoon. We're back with the first pitch between the Indians and the Twins coming up next. Twins have finally taken the field, so we're just about ready for baseball. We'll get a look at the Indians starting lineup today. It is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. For Terry Francona today, Michael Bourne in the leadoff spot. Jason Kipnis bat second. Michael Brantley will hit third. Then it's Carlos Santana, followed by Brandon Moss. David Murphy, the DH. Lonnie Chisenhall, seventh. Roberto Perez having a great series, hits eighth. And Jose Ramirez will bat ninth.
Our Northern Ohio Honda dealer's starting pitcher for this afternoon's game for the Minnesota Twins, Trevor May. May is on the mound. He is 25 years old. As you mentioned, Matt, a big man, 6'5", 240 pounds. 1-1 in his career against the Indians last year. He beat the Indians in Cleveland. He lost to them here in Minnesota. And they got to him, and he never pitched more than 5 innings. In his first start against him, he went 102 pitches in just 5 innings, but that's the game he got the win in. So we'll see what he has to offer. They have to be patient. Let's check out the defense. Brought to you by Chrysler. It'll be Arcia in left, Robinson in center, Hunter is over in right, Plouffe at third, Escobar at short, Dozier at second, Bauer is at first with Suzuki doing the catching.
The crew chief, Brian Gorman, will clean the plate and call the balls and strikes. Mark Carlson at first, Mike DeMuro at second, Tripp Gibson down at third. Patience could be a key for the Indians today, because May is a guy that has had troubles commanding the baseball. When he can command it, he's very good.
I remember him with a big curveball. It's a matter of spotting that fastball, as you mentioned.
Misses with his first pitch of the game. Bourne swings at the second one, and a lazy pop to left. Arcia is there, one away. Here's our window systems game time temperature at 58 degrees. Not much of a breeze, and there is still a slight chance of rain.
Actually, we're pretty fortunate, because before we came in here, it said that we probably had no chance on Sunday, but here we are.
Yeah, there was an ominous forecast a couple of days ago, but it's broken up. With one out, Jason Kipnis stands in, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Two-seamer sinks off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Low to maybe mid-90s fastball from May.
Like a little changeup there.
Yeah, sure did. He'll also feature the traditional curve and slider. That fastball took off, and it's 2-2. Kipnis chases one up out of the strike zone. 2 down. Our keys to the game are brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Some crooked numbers on offense would help, and the Twins could be just what Dr. House ordered. Michael Brantley, 2 for 8 in the series, takes the ball up high.
Trevor May was actually started the year on the AAA Rochester roster, but then was recalled April 11th to replace Ricky Nolasco, who had some arm issues and was put on the 15-day DL.
And Michael fouls it out of play. Trevor May was originally drafted by the Phillies in the 4th round. Came over here in the trade that sent Ben Revere to Philadelphia. Again, it's fouled back by Brantley. Ahead in the count, 1-2. In at the knees, and that made Brantley have to skip out of the way quickly.
You know, they played Brantley probably about as straight away as you play any hitter overall in this whole field. You can see it's basically just a straight up shot for most.
The 2-2. Low and a full count. Carlos Santana would be next. The payoff pitch. And Brantley fouled that off of his leg. He'll get another shot. One of the knocks on Trevor May, and remember he's still a young pitcher, is that he will kind of get out of attack mode, maybe start to nibble, and which causes the pitch count to rise. And
right.
Can't get deep into games.
Pitch to contact. Believe in your stuff.
Brantley sends a high fly ball to center field. Shane Robinson is there. And the Indians go 1-2-3. Twins coming to bat against TJ House when we come back. Let's have a look at the lineup TJ House will face today for Paul Molitor's Minnesota Twins, brought to you by Toyota. Brian Dozier in the leadoff spot, followed by Torrey Hunter. Then it's Joe Mauer hitting third. Kenny Vargas now in the cleanup spot. Trevor Plouffe fifth. Kurt Suzuki sixth. Arcia, Escobar, Robinson rounded out. So a little change, Rick, for Molitor's Twins. He goes Dozier back into the leadoff spot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because of a left-hander being on the hill or just because this might be a better lineup. I know Danny Santana's been leading off and he's not playing today.
Well, they may try something different against left-handers because they are 1-3 against them on the year already. Although the three that beat them were pretty good. David Price they lost to, Chris Sale, and Danny Duffy. And they just beat Jason Vargas, right before we came in. And Jason Vargas and House are similar style pitchers. Change-ups, but House will try and get the ball in on right-handers a little bit more with that cutter or slider coming in.
There's a 2-1. And Dozier with a liner to left, but Brantley's right there to grab it. One down.
Let's check out the defense for the Tribe, brought to you by Chrysler. It's Brantley who made that catch. He will be out in left field. Bourne in center, Moss in right. It'll be Chisenhall at third, Ramirez at short, Kipnis at second, Santana's at first, with Perez catching.
Torrey Hunter.
Good pitch right there.
Hunter was 1 for 4 with a double and a run batted in yesterday.
Love the tempo. House getting the ball, getting right back on the rubber. Let's go.
Out of play. It's 1-2.
We talked about that a lot yesterday with Salazar.
Yeah.
His tempo, how he picked it up a little bit, and he was very good yesterday.
Right back to where Kipnis had him played. 2 down. Let's go downstairs to Andre Knott for more on TJ House and what he has to do today.
A rhythm. Mickey Callaway talked about last week's start against Detroit, guys. He never got into a rhythm because of the first 3 batters and then getting the umpire giving him a warning. They just want to get him on the mound and let him get all of his pitches established, and they feel like with that happens, he'll be good to go today against this Twins team that he's 3-0 in his career.
Obviously gives you a little comfort level, too, knowing you've had success against the lineup.
Sure, you feel good. You pitched well in a certain ballpark and against a certain lineup. You have a little more confidence going. And I'm sure TJ was through. He couldn't wait for his next start. You know, he was ambushed in his first start by Detroit, swinging the bats like they were swinging, and they're still swinging. They have a 7-0 lead today against the left-hander Jose Quintana out in Detroit.
Now the 0-2. Off the end of the bat. Brantley's there. He makes the catch. 1, 2, 3 go the Twins. Good start for TJ House. No score after 1.
...2015 with the MLB.com at-bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Carlos Santana to lead off here for the Indians in the second inning. Santana just 1 for 9 so far in the series. And this is a ballpark that normally he thrives in. Pitch in off the plate. Two balls, 1 strike with Brandon Moss, David Murphy to follow Santana here in the second. Off the end of the bat, pop to left. Escobar out. The shortstop has it. 1 down. The injury report today is brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Greg Holland, the Royals closer, down with a pectoral injury. Jonathan Scope, Carlos Gomez, Jake Peavy. A lot of big names on the DL. Brandon Moss, 2 hits in the series. Both have gone for extra bases, a double and a home run. Takes low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fastball taken for a strike, and he's down on the count 1-2. He hammers that fastball. Hunter trying to cut it off. He will. Moss will have to hold with a long single.
Almost looked like Torrey Hunter caught that ball in between his legs as he was running past it. That ball was smoked by Brandon Moss right there. He got on top of a high fastball. They wanted up and in, but they didn't get it in. And he's able to get some top pan to it and hit a liner into right field. I want to see if Hunter catches that. I told you, he caught it in between his legs on the dead run.
Now David Murphy with Moss aboard, 1 out here in the 2nd inning. And that's outside, ball 1. David Murphy hitless in the series, 0 for 6. Trying to snap an 0 for 9 overall. As good as David Murphy swung the bat last year with runners in scoring position, he had a hit at a 360 clip. Just with runners on base, period. He was good, batting .326. That was 10th best in the American League.
Yeah, he had a magic wand going last year early.
Called a strike.
That's the pitch I remember from Trevor May right there, that curveball. Maybe because a lot of times he would go to it last year early and had a tough time throwing it for strikes.
Popped him up. Center fielder Shane Robinson again makes the catch. 2 down. Last year in the game against the Minnesota Twins back in Cleveland, he had a 4-hit game, and you could just look at the way he's swinging the bat. I mean, just...
It's the wand. That's the wand I was talking about. Pulled a couple, went the other way. He was picking balls up off the ground last year.
Well, here's Lonnie Chisenhall now. And a fastball just above the belt. Can't get to it. 0-1. There's a liner towards center field. Robinson makes the catch. Reached down and was able to snag it to retire the side. No runs ahead, a man left. Middle of the 2nd here in Minnesota.
$15 district ticket presented by Sports Time Ohio. The new bar is the best place in town to grab a cold one, and with the district ticket, the first drink is on us. Visit Indians.com.
Now Kenny Vargas will lead off the bottom of the second for Minnesota. He's had a rough series, going 0 for 9 with 5 strikeouts. Two balls, no strikes. Vargas, then Trevor Plouffe and Kurt Suzuki for Minnesota here in the second inning. Walked him on 4 pitches. Vargas is on base for the first time in the series. Our Buick stat of the game shows you that TJ House has dominated here against the Minnesota Twins. This is his 5th career start against Minnesota. He's only faced the other 3 teams in the Central Division a combined 6 times.
Well, this was the good matchup where they were bumped Carrasco back supposedly to tomorrow. Well, he's moved back another day. He will be Tuesday, and it'll be Bauer tomorrow, so you could at least get House a start here in a team that he's pitched very well against.
You know, he was looking forward to facing the Tigers again, kind of chance to make amends or overcome what happened to him in his first start against the Tigers, but it looks like that won't happen. The way they've juggled the rotation with the off day Thursday. Plouffe fouls it right back. Let's go down to Andre, who has more on that flip-flop between Carrasco and Bauer.
The flip-flop goes back and forth. Carrasco, they just want to get him as healthy as he possibly can at this point in time. Bauer, they'll keep on his regular schedule. The thing with Carrasco, not eating a lot. Terry said he's not eating candy apples or anything just yet, but they think he'll be okay, and they think this will work best for the pitching staff right now. Now, before the game, he did have a catcher's mask on, acting like he was pitching, so he still has a sense of humor.
You may want to wear that out there the next game.
Now the 2-2.
Well, when that first happened, it's a blessing that he'll be back pitching in a week. You know, we thought that the way it looked, it could have been the end for a while. So it's just great to hear that he will be back and he'll be pitching in Chicago against the team that it happened against.
House with the 2-2, and Plouffe lines it to right field. Vargas off and running. He'll head to third. And the Twins have runners at second and third with nobody out.
Well, that's pretty much a good plan of attack when you're facing TJ House, and the right-hander Plouffe, who likes to pull a lot, hits a pretty good fastball down and away to right field. That approach, very good. It'll go as a double. That's his Plouffe's second. So now in the second inning, Twins have runners at second and third and nobody out.
The batter will be Kurt Suzuki. 1 for 3 with a home run yesterday. And he takes a little bit outside for ball 1. House not quite in his normal aggressive attack mode. He's just almost 50-50 so far, balls and strikes. Suzuki fouls that one into the crowd. Look out.
It looks like their approach, trying to stay on the baseball and take it the other way.
Twins have base runners at second and third, nobody out. Here in the bottom of the second inning. To right, but slicing out of play. Suzuki has homered in back-to-back games that he has played in. Takes a close pitch, just missed off the inside corner.
Well, you can tell they're leaning and looking out over the plate. He's going to have to continue to pound these right-handers inside and prove that he can throw. That's not a bad pitch. The way he took that pitch tells you right now he's looking away. I don't care if it's fastball or changeup.
Set up inside again, and he hit him.
Well, he's going to have to pitch in there effectively. He did that. That's what got him warned in his first game when he went inside on Victor, if you remember. But you know what? No harm. He's got a left-hander in here. You need that first out, or he'll take a ground ball for a double play. But he went back inside. He just held on to it too much and hit him in the knee.
Oswaldo Arcia will bat with the bases loaded.
Needs that first out here. If not one, try and get a pair with a ground ball.
And a first pitch strike. That's foul out of play. Wow. Nice barehanded one-handed grab.
Really was. Just got up out of his seat, kneeling down and snagged it.
TJ's 0-2 pitch. And Arcia with a fly ball on the left, deep enough. Vargas will tag. He'll come home to score. The Twins take a 1-0 lead.
Okay, you get that first out now. I don't know if he got that ball away as much as he wanted to on an 0-2 count. He had a chance to really try to get him to chase something a little better. That pitch might have been just a little too good for an 0-2 count. Let's see. Yeah, that's too good of a pitch, 0-2. He might have wanted to throw a little bigger of a bender out there to try and get him to chase it. But they get the first run across, and House gets his first out.
Eduardo Escobar, switch hitter, batting 8th with 2 on, 1 out. Takes the first pitch strike. In off the plate. Evens it up 1-1. Escobar a year ago was second among the Twins players in doubles with 35. Fouled right back. Over his last 14 starts here at home, dating back to last year, he's got 20 hits, 6 extra base knocks, and a .370 average. To this point, he is hitless in the series. And that's foul up the third base side.
he made the start in left field in game 1 and threw a runner out at home plate for a double play, but he's playing at shortstop, and they flip-flopped Santana and him at short a lot last year. They want to try and keep Santana here because they have a couple of #1 draft picks that are in the minor leagues, Hicks, Buxton, and none of them have really taken over and showed that they can play at the major league level yet.
The 1-2 hit to right center field. Moss can't get it. Coming around third, Plouffe will score. On his way to third goes Suzuki. And it's a 2-0 Twins lead as Eduardo Escobar has his first run batted in on the year.
Again, I think too good of a pitch here. They're going at it right now, talking to Perez. The approach is to go the other way. Moss comes in and does a nice job to smother the ball. But you have to get that ball into second base. Again, he's throwing home. He had no chance at a player, and nobody's in the vicinity because there wasn't a play at the plate. But the one good thing that happened, the double play is still in order.
First and third with one out. Shane Robinson, the #9 batter. To short. Ramirez can't pick it up, and everybody's safe. Another run is in. 3-0 Minnesota.
Well, there's your double play ball, and it's not turned. Ramirez didn't catch it cleanly. I don't know if he maybe should have backhanded this ball. He did not try it. He went to go and get that ball and just couldn't come up with it. That'll probably go as an error, huh?
Fielder's choice. An RBI and an error. First infield error for the Indians this year.
Yes, it is. Well, now the Indians have some work to do because coming into this game, they're 0-5 when the opposition scores first, and also 0-5 when allowing 3 or more runs. So you've got to put out the fire in this inning and then come back and go to work offensively.
The 1-1 pitch. Right field but foul off the bat of Dozier. So it's the crooked number, but it's for Minnesota here early today, as the Twins have plated 3 here in the second and still only 1 out. They've got 2 aboard. 7th man to bat in the inning is Brian Dozier.
Yeah, well, the inning started with a walk on 4 pitches, a hit batter, an error.
Dozier strikes out, 2 down. First K for House.
Well, you got a high fastball hitter that chases the ball out of the strike zone, so he helps out TJ House, but certainly House will take it. Gets the strikeout, his first, second out of the inning.
Torrey Hunter grounded out his only time up in the first.
That's a part of the plate he's going to have to hit for strikes. The right-hander's approach, looking away.
Hunter sends a high fly ball. Left field. Brantley racing over on the track, makes the catch to end the inning. Fine running grab by Michael Brantley. Brings to a close the second inning, but not before Minnesota plates 3 to take the early lead. 3-0 is our score. And the Indians will try to get the bats going with Roberto Perez, Jose Ramirez, and Michael Bourne. Perez has had the best series thus far for the Indians. He's gone 4 for 9 with a home run. One ball, one strike. Pretty good fastball and good location, down and away. Bounced it in there.
You know, so far the Twins, 9 of their 11 games so far this year have been played during the day. They played the second most games in all of baseball last year during the day, only second to the Cubs. They're 2-7 in those 9 games to this point.
Out of plate on the right side. What gives, huh?
Yeah, you figure, well, it's April, it's up here, you play during the day, although they did start on the road playing against Detroit, and they play a lot of day games.
And Roberto Perez, good eye. Got a piece of that, and it got a piece of Kurt Suzuki.
Well, they're going away with it. It's a fastball. There's not much you can do. It goes down on the left foot.
Trevor May fires, and Perez bounces it up the middle. It's cut off by Escobar, and he throws him out, 1 down. Going to bring up Jose Ramirez. Our T-Mobile game changer is the old man in New York, Bartolo Colon. What a start he is off to. 20 innings, he has walked 1 and struck out 18.
Yeah, they're off to an excellent start. They're leading 7-2 this afternoon.
Jose Ramirez 3 for 9 in the series. Fouls that one to the on deck circle, 1-1. Too high up near the letters. I guess it stands to reason when you're 6'5", but Trevor May's nickname could be Bigfoot. He goes a size 16.
No kidding. Well, we mentioned before that you know, big guys have a tendency at times to get out of whack with their mechanics, and they can throw a lot of pitches like he has.
Payoff pitch. And Ramirez fouls it out of play to the left.
Hughes is about the same, though, and he's a control guy, so maybe he might be able to help this guy out with his delivery.
Thought you meant he was going to help him find a cobbler. Bauer beats Ramirez to the bag, 2 down here in the 3rd inning.
Well, our new Tribetown MVPs Kids Club is designed for dedicated Tribe fans between the ages of 6 and 14. The MVPs take part in exclusive events and receive cool gear to add to their collection. Just go to Indians.com.
2 down for Michael Bourne, who flied to left in the first. Upstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. Bourne over the top. May has been effective to this point. Changing speeds. Thrown 64% of his pitches for strikes. Popped out of play. First time through the order, the Indians went 1 for 9 against him. Upstairs, 2-2. Bourne trying to snap an 0 for 9 overall.
There it is.
And he will with a base hit right back up the middle.
I heard you say that. Said I need a knock.
Done with that 0 for, huh?
Well, 2 out knock hit that. Well, let's see if they can make that adjustment. As you say, they didn't have a very good first round through it, but there's a fastball right there, belt high, middle of the plate. So an easy pitch to take advantage of from Trevor May. And it's a 2-out single for Bourne.
Here is Jason Kipnis, struck out his first time up. Ground ball in the hole. That's going to get through. Bourne will hit the bag. He'll go to third. Kipnis will hold at first. Indians at the corners now with 2 down.
Second straight day, Kipnis was able to get after a first pitch and get a base hit to right field. He finds the hole, and now with Bourne on, Mauer holding the runner, finds that hole and gets Bourne to third base. It's behind him. So now with 2 outs, the Indians starting and giving Brantley an opportunity to get him on the board.
Michael flied to center his first time up, but it was after a pretty good at bat. He got a chance to see just about everything May can offer. Upstairs for ball 1.
This is a big man. For a big man, he's pretty quick to home plate, Matt. He has that slide step that he used the last pitch when Kipnis singled, but that he picked it up a little bit, but he is still quick to the plate, so it may be tough to run on. So you stay there and you give Michael a chance to find that hole between first and second if he likes.
Instead, he'll hit it over the second baseman's head for an RBI 2-out base hit. Indians get on the board. It's 3-1. 3 straight 2-out singles here in the third for Cleveland. For Brantley, his second run batted in on the year.
Well, this is well done. 2 outs, nobody on. 3 straight hits. McDonald's, I'm loving it. Another 2-out base hit with a runner in scoring position for Brantley. So they're on the board. They answer that 3-run bottom half of the second, and the inning is still going. Neil Allen has to go out to the mound, and he's going to talk to May. But that's nice for when you have 2 outs, nobody on. It's like found money there.
The batter is Carlos Santana with Kipnis at second and Brantley at first. Detroit has opened up a 9-0 lead over the White Sox at home, 6th inning in Detroit. Santana looks at a ball up and in, ball 1. Santana squibs one towards second base from the outfield grass. Dozier will throw him out. And the inning is over. 3 straight 2-out hits, including an RBI knock by Michael Brantley. Get the Indians on the board. They trail it 3-1. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one on this Sunday afternoon, stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Trevor May got out of further damage after surrendering 3 straight 2-out hits in the top half of this third inning, but the Indians do get in the scoreboard column with a run in. Down a couple, Joe Mauer, Kenny Vargas, Trevor Plouffe due for the Twins here now in the third. Blown away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Try to go over the inside corner. He's fallen behind 2-1 to Mauer. Mauer bounces one to Kipnis at second base.
Yeah, you like to see him roll over on that pitch.
Our great clip of the game from yesterday. Indians starter Danny Salazar. He went 6 innings. Allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 10. He was exceptional, and the off-speed pitches and the changeup in particular were just devastating. Kenny Vargas walked and scored his first time up. From the hole, Ramirez has time. Throws him out 2 down. It's going to bring up Trevor Plouffe, who doubled to right off T.J. House back in the second inning.
Yeah, he set up the inning with a nice approach to his at-bat, taking a good fastball down on the way to right field.
Plouffe looks at a strike. Down in the dirt. 1-1. Happy birthday wishes go out to Indians fantasy camper John Whaler. Guy you've managed before.
Oh, yeah. All right. Happy birthday.
He's probably getting ready for the big reunion game's got to be coming up here pretty soon.
Yes, as always. Yeah, very nice. We also got to send out a happy 98th birthday to Helen Molnar, of Youngstown, Nate Genoso's grandmother.
Nice.
Happy birthday. Still plays bingo 5 times a week.
Trevor Plouffe, big chopper to short. Jose Ramirez takes care of that. 1, 2, 3 go the
Nice
Twins.
inning.
We'll go to the 4th, 3-1 Minnesota. Live events, 2 networks, 1 month. It's April in the OHIO. You can win a terrific Tribe experience starting next Monday. Make sure you're tuned in to find out how to enter. Brandon Moss, David Murphy, Lonnie Chisenhall. All 3 left-handed bats due for the Indians here in the 4th. Brandon Moss had the first hit of the game for Cleveland. A single into right field in the 2nd inning. And a foul right back. Moss now 3 for 9 in the series.
Indians today, 4 hits, all singles. This team switches more when they get to 2 strikes. They almost call timeout and send the third baseman Plouffe over every time when it's either Santana, Moss. Moss was able to beat that shift last at bat, got on top of a high fastball and smoked it to right.
Can't get on top of that one. 2nd strikeout for Trevor May, and there's 1 down here in the 4th.
Check this fastball out on our Nissan pitch tracker. It's elevated. Now, the last one he hit was down a little bit about the belt. This one was about letter high, and he swings through that one. And that's probably the pitch they wanted to throw to him last time, and he didn't elevate it enough.
David Murphy takes a look. It's called a strike. That was really a tough pitch at the knees, outside corner. And it's quickly 0-2. Went back to the spot where he threw the first pitch, this time called a ball. Low, and Murphy works the count back to even at 2-2. Off the plate. Good patience here by David.
Yeah, if you have patience with this guy, you will get deep into the count. Look for that first pitch fastball and then make him work.
Liner right at the shortstop, Escobar, 2 down.
KeyBank Kids tickets start at just $10 for kids 12 and under with the purchase of an adult ticket. Kids tickets are located in the new family deck at Progressive Field. That's home to the expanded Kids Clubhouse. Log on to Indians.com.
Lonnie Chisenhall fly to center, his only time up in the second. Looks at a curveball up and away, ball 1. Bouncing ball, the second baseman Dozier. Indians go 1-2-3. And we'll go to the last half of the fourth. 3-1 Minnesota.
Special offers including merchandise discounts. The app also lets fans purchase tickets, transfer tickets to friends, and more. Visit Indians.com.
Kurt Suzuki, Oswaldo Arcia, and Eduardo Escobar due for Minnesota here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Suzuki was hit by a pitch, came around to score in the Twins' 3-run second. Off the plate. It's 3-0 now for Suzuki. Another 4-pitch walk to start an inning. Second time that's happened to TJ today.
You're right, man. He did that back in the second inning to Vargas.
Oswaldo Arcia, sac fly and an RBI his first time up. And a strike is called. Beats the shift. Base hit left field. And Suzuki stops at second. So just like the second inning, the Twins have their first two aboard. Nobody out.
Well, they were really swung over there on the right side, and Chisenhall was way off the line. And you go away with that fastball down, and that's all it takes is a little chopper. You can see where he's playing. An easy hit there for Arcia. So it's first and second and nobody out.
Eduardo Escobar, RBI single. His first time up. House with a fastball in for a strike to even the count of 1-1. Bounce to third. Chisenhall backhands it. Goes to second. There's one Kipnis trying to turn to, but not in time.
Yeah, it was awfully tough because I almost thought Lonnie was going to try and step on third and go to first.
I did too.
Because he was close. I don't know if his footwork got messed up, but it probably would have been. He was heading in that direction. He's still a bit of ways, but I don't think he would have got to. But you would have got the lead runner at third, and you might have had a chance at first. I'm not saying he would have turned it, but that's where I thought he was going to go with it. But he chooses to go to second. They do still have the double play in order.
And Shane Robinson, the batter, bounced into a fielder's choice that looked like it was going to be a double play in the second inning. But Jose Ramirez had trouble with it. This time he has a base hit in the left field. Suzuki scores, and it's 4-1 Minnesota.
Well, both the innings that Minnesota has gotten on the board, they were lead-off walks by House on 4 pitches, and it set up the inning. There's a clean hit between short and third. That's hit number 4. And out comes Mickey Callaway to have a talk to TJ House. And that Indians bullpen looks like they're going to get some work in.
Well, Minnesota has a couple aboard with only 1 out. And now you turn it over to the top of the order for the 3rd time already today. But these are the guys, the top 3 hitters are combined 0 for 6. House hasn't had any problem with Dozier, Hunter, and Mauer. The rest of the lineup, a different story.
Yeah, the walks have really hurt him to lead off the inning. When you look at it, out of their 4 runs, Matt, the 2 walks and the hit batter have come around to score.
Yeah. Anthony Swarzak is up again in the Indians bullpen. He hasn't gotten into a game in the series against his old club, but he's been warming up a number of times. Dozier takes, and that's low, 2-0. To third, Chisenhall goes to second. There's one. Kipnis trying to turn it. Not in time.
Well, there's a double play you certainly want to turn. right there to get out of an inning. Chisenhall gets it over to Kipnis. The throw was just a little wide, so the turn wasn't as quick as it should have been. And that gives, you talk about a half step, and that's exactly what it takes. A good throw to the second baseman. The throw from Chisenhall a little down and away, but Kipnis didn't have the hands quick enough to turn it there because he had to reach down for the baseball. But it's a ball that you certainly want to get out of the inning on when you make your pitch.
Well, now he's got Torrey Hunter to deal with. Hunter sent Michael Brantley deep onto the warning track in left field his last time up. Swung on and missed. Now the 1-1. Down and in. Levin player profile featuring Torrey Hunter, 5th among active player in career hits, 8th on the Twins all-time home run list, 5 times an All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove winner. To third, Chisenhall goes across the diamond with it, and the inning is over. Minnesota gets a run in the 4th. Their lead is 4-1. Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. Grilling up the onions with the brats and the sausages. Just another Sunday at the ball yard.
And not a bad Sunday compared to what, yeah, no doubt about it. Now the Indians need to come back and get on the board and score some runs.
Roberto Perez grounded out his only time up. Indians a run on 4 hits through the first 4 innings. Curveball missed up high. A little bit low. Dipped down out of the strike zone. 2-1. Trevor May has thrown 70 pitches, 61% for strikes.
Pitch up out of the zone. 3-1. That ball's clobbered deep left field. Arcia back onto the warning track, makes the catch. Now Perez hit it hard, but nothing to show for it. One away.
Yeah, he hit it right on the nose. Good swing.
Want to send out well wishes to 7-year-old Jack Hickey and his family in Avon Lake. Understand that Jack has a big surgery coming up on Tuesday. So best of luck to Jack. We'll be thinking about you. Jose Ramirez went to the front of the box, thought about a bunt, took it for ball 1. Ramirez a ground out his first time up. Slaps it out of play to the left. One, two. And Ramirez fooled badly as he strikes out. Third K for Trevor May. 2 down here in the 5th. Grab some friends and catch a game at our new 2-story bar with our $13 district ticket presented by Sports Time Ohio. The new bar is the best place in town to grab a cold one, and with the district ticket, your first drink is on us. Visit Indians.com/district ticket for the details. Two down from Michael Bourne, who singled and scored in the 3rd. It was a 2-out rally that got the Indians going in that 3rd inning. Bourne, Kipnis, and Brantley with consecutive 2-out hits.
Well, today, the one thing Trevor May has not done, he hasn't walked anybody to give any base runners.
Now we talked about that.
He struck out 3
at the outset. His command is of the utmost importance.
Well, that's pitch number 80 right now. He's into the 5th inning. This first start, he was over 100 pitches into 5 innings. The first time he pitched against him, and then the Indians didn't even let him get through 5 here in his second start. He went 4 2/3, and that was about 96 pitches. But the key is, hasn't walked anybody.
And the payoff pitch strikes him out. 4 Ks for Trevor May, and that's 7 in a row set down by the Twins right-hander. 4-1 Twins lead at bottom of the fifth inning. Joe Mauer leading it off for Minnesota, and the pitch is low, ball one. Actually, a little peek at the sun right now. Low and outside. 2 balls, no strikes. To left field, down the line, slicing out of play. Mauer historically has worn out left field, left side of the infield. But you may notice early in this series, he's making a more concerted effort to try and pull the ball this season.
And his last at bat, he rolled over on a count in his favor, and you can see he's really trying to stay on it and go to left field this time.
Nice play by Brantley to take a hit away from him, possibly extra bases if he doesn't come up with that catch.
To me, that's his swing, going inside out. I mean, he's done it his whole life, so to try and get him to pull it now is a little tougher, but Brantley makes a nice running catch. He hit the ball pretty well.
Kenny Vargas. Vargas took advantage of a 4-pitch walk in the second inning and scored a run. He's in the hole here, 0-2. Up the middle, and Vargas has his first hit of the series. Our 8-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Eduardo Escobar with an RBI single made it 2-0 Twins. It was 3-0, and Michael Brantley got the Indians on the board with a 2-out RBI knock. And Shane Robinson restored the 3-run Twins lead with an RBI hit in the fourth inning. And that's where we stand. 1-on, 1-out here in the fifth.
TJ hasn't really been able to hit that inside part of the plate for right-handers today for strikes. He's gone in there. He just hasn't been able to find the corner.
Plouffe going the other way. Sends Moss to the warning track. It's over his head. Bounces off the wall. Played it well. He'll hold Plouffe to a long single to throw to third, and they got him.
How about that?
Vargas is cut down on a terrific relay.
There's a ball hit off the wall. He couldn't go to second base, Trevor Plouffe. He wanted to. And it's because Vargas didn't. It was a bad job of base running. He smoked that ball. Fastball away. And Moss sees it goes over his head. He gets it in quickly to the relay man. And look at Kipnis with the good throw right on the money. And they get him at third base. Well done. Bad base running, but a nice relay.
Rick, I was watching the ball in right field. Did Vargas hold up thinking Moss was going to catch it?
He did originally, yes. And when he found out he wasn't going to, I think he just kicked it into gear, and it was an overdrive. He dropped it down into second or third gear. And, you know, you can't do that because all of a sudden now you got two good throws. Look at that. Well done. It's a big out right there. Would have been first and third.
Kurt Suzuki hit by a pitch, walked, and he scored twice. To third, Chisenhall will have a long throw right on the money. No runs, 2 hits, 1 man left. 5 complete, 4-1 Minnesota. Minnesota, 6th inning. And the Indians will send hitters 2, 3, and 4. Hey, the Golf Zone with Jimmy Hanlon. Our PGA Pro will talk golf, give you tips. See how Masters champ Jordan Spieth did at the Hilton Head tournament this weekend. Golf Zone tees off tonight at 8 on Sports Time Ohio.
Jimmy Furyk won that one in a playoff, didn't he? Down in Hilton Head.
Jason Kipnis, Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana trying to get it rolling for the Indians here. 3rd time through the order now. Kipnis takes a strike. No balls, 2 strikes. That's down low. Well, back to even now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. To center field, Shane Robinson. 1 away. Time for the AT&T U-verse rewind. Michael Brantley with a fine running catch. Took extra bases and RBIs away from Torrey Hunter in the 2nd inning. And it was Brantley with a 2-out RBI hit to provide the Indians with their only run thus far. Smash to first. Big hop for Mauer. 2 down.
Mauer, glove hand going toward the line. That's a nice Sunday hop for him. Made it an easier play and just beat Brantley to the bag.
And up comes Carlos Santana, 0 for 2 on the day. He's popped up, grounded out. Just 1 for 11 in the series. And it's a strike from May.
Yeah, this is the ballpark Santana usually likes to hit in. Third most homers in this ballpark as an opposing player with 8. And the funny thing, we won't be coming in here until August.
Yeah.
Next time we come in, it'll be the heat of the summer.
Last year, the Indians didn't come here till after the All-Star break. Santana clobbers one to first. It gets by Mauer. Backed up by Dozier, and his throw to first almost got him, but Santana does indeed beat it out.
That ball hit the lip of the grass and stayed down, and it actually hit Mauer in the foot. And, you know, he was waiting for a nice Sunday hop again. He didn't get it. Watch, it goes off his foot, but what a play by Dozier to back up. They still almost had Santana at first, but it hits the cut of the grass where the dirt meets, and then it all goes off his foot. Look at Dozier, heads up play, but Santana beats it out. Let's see, that's going to be an error there on Mauer.
Yep. So another 2-out base runner for the Indians. Brandon Moss cuts and misses.
It's the 10th error this year for the Minnesota Twins.
Moss with a good cut, had one to rip, fouled back. It's 0-2. Twins bullpen getting some activity as May closes in on 100 pitches for the day.
Looks like Thompson, doesn't it?
The parade of lefties.
Oh yeah,
about to begin.
It'll start. Thompson came in game 1. He wasn't able to go yesterday, but he's up and first one out of the chute today if they need him.
Low with the 0-2 pitch.
He's done a lot of changeups today and has been able to get some left-handed hitters out.
Moss sends a high fly ball to center field, and Robinson makes the catch. No runs, no hits. 1 error, 1 man left aboard. Middle of the 6th, 4-1 Minnesota. indicating his day is over. If it is indeed, he went 6 very good innings, gave up just 1 run on 4 hits.
Good start for Trevor May.
Oswaldo Arcia leading off. Sac fly in the second inning, driving in a run and a base hit in the fourth. Had him out in front. It's 0-2. Came back with the same pitch, but that time Arcia not offering at it. Just kind of a half swing liner.
Yeah,
and with the shift on, Chisenhall makes the catch.
Trying to throw it the other way.
Time for a Boston game break. Let's go back to the studios. Here's Al.
Yeah, the turnaround is fair play.
Eduardo Escobar at the plate with 1 out here in the 6th. Got a foul back. Got him looking. TJ with just his 2nd strikeout of the ball game. And there are 2 down here in the 6th. There have been some fireworks already in this series between Kansas City and Oakland. This started at Brett Lawrie with a late slide into second base, taking out, Escobar or Alcides Escobar, and he ended up hurt. Next game, Ventura comes out, he hits Lawrie. He got suspended or thrown out of the ball game, and now we'll see what kind of suspensions are handed out after.
There were some fireworks going on in there, and they were the 2 teams that were in the playoffs, and Kansas City knocked them out last year. And Lawrie, that slide going into second base, it seemed like it was a late slide.
But Lawrie said, he texted an apology. Reporters went into the Royals clubhouse, and Escobar said he never received an apology. They went back to Lawrie. Lawrie showed him his cell phone with all the messages that he got back from Escobar. They went back to Escobar, and he still denied ever hearing from Lawrie. So this thing's taken on a life of its own. It's like
days
grade
of
school
our life.
Stuff. Yeah.
Soap opera, we'll see. Well, right now, Oakland leading 2-0 going into the bottom of the 5th at Kansas City. They ended up beating him yesterday, so.
Line to right, a base hit for Shane Robinson. He's having a good day.
Yeah, he is. Gets the start in center field in the final game of the series.
He's driven in 2.
Yeah, he's 2 for 3. There's a fastball that's elevated a little bit. He goes the other way, and that's going to bring Terry Francona out to make a move. As Robinson will end the day after 3 times through the Minnesota lineup where TJ House has had a lot of success. He's going to leave this ball game trailing 4-1 today.
Time for the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen as TJ House exits. Anthony Swarzak will be coming on to face his former ball club when we return. TJ House takes a seat after going 5 2/3 innings on the short end of a 4-1 score. And Anthony Swarzak into the ball game now for Cleveland. The former Minnesota Twin making his 4th appearance now this year for Cleveland.
Chance to pitch against his former team. That's a little strange, I'm sure, for him.
Anthony was drafted by the Twins in 2004, second-round pick. Spent his entire career with Minnesota. So after a decade with the Twins, now in Indians uniform.
He was a valuable guy. Made his first start last year against the Tribe, getting the win. If you remember, here in a ball game. It was a spot start, pitched very well. But they like him here in Minnesota. He was a nice addition to this organization, and now he came out and won a job in the bullpen for the Indians this year in spring training. Francona likes his versatility, goes multiple innings, can be a spot starter, and he's a veteran and has been around.
29 years old. Fires a strike to Dozier. It's 0-2. Swarzak's first tour of duty with Minnesota saw him as a full-time starter. Then he sort of morphed into a guy that could pitch in relief and occasionally make some starts. Just outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Probably because he was a starter his whole career, he kind of fell into that unenviable role of the long man. The 1-2, and I say unenviable because in that long relief role, you never know when your opportunities are going to come, and when they do, it's usually go out and suck up about 3 or 4 innings for us.
Yeah, it's a tough situation because you may go 6, 7, 8 days depending on how the rotation goes through and not pitch, and then expect to come out and give them 3, 4 innings at a time. So it's a tough role, but as a manager, you have to find ways to keep your long man sharp and at least get him an inning here or there.
Well, he's gone from 0-2 to 3-2 now on Dozier. And Rick, you look back at Swarzak over the last 3 years, he is second among all major league relievers in innings pitched.
Yeah. Well, he can log some innings. It's been 5 days since he's been out on the mound. His last game was against the Chicago White Sox.
Runner goes on a 3-2 pitch, and it's ball 4. So after he had Dozier down on the count 0-2, he ends up walking him, and now Minnesota has 2 on with 2 out for Torrey Hunter. And Torrey Hunter on the day is 0 for 3.
See 21 at-bats for Hunter against Swarzak. Hasn't fared very well, but struck him out only once.
Swarzak didn't make it to the big leagues until after Torrey Hunter had already left Minnesota for the Angels at that time. Well, these two never really had a chance to play as teammates. But obviously familiar foes. The 1-1 coming with 2 on 2 out. Look out. And goodbye. Torrey Hunter with a 2-out, 3-run homer. Blows it open for Minnesota as they now lead it 7-1.
Tried to come inside on Hunter with a fastball, and boy, he was waiting for it. And look at down and in, and Torrey dropped the head of the bat on that one and gave it a ride. A 3-pointer with 2 outs here. And boy, it opens this one wide open. It's 7-1 Minnesota. For Hunter, his first home run of the year.
Now Joe Mauer 0 for 3 on the day. Now Mauer with a line drive base hit into center field. So now coming up will be Kenny Vargas. Vargas walked and scored in the second. He grounded out in the third. He singled in the 5th inning. And a fastball in there for a strike. And Vargas waves at a ball down in the dirt. And the count is 1-2. There were 2 outs with a runner at first when Terry Francona made the move to the bullpen. 3 straight have reached against Anthony Swarzak, and 3 have scored.
Well, Minnesota coming into this game, out of their 11 games, they were 8 times 3 runs or less. Today, they've been able to put 7 on the board on 9 hits. They haven't reached 10 hits yet this year. But they're looking to do so.
Swarzak strikes out Vargas to end the inning. But the Minnesota Twins get a 3-pointer from Torrey Hunter. And they open it up 7-1.
Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable.
Well, Torrey Hunter, his 3-run homer has Minnesota comfortably in front 7-1. Now the Twins go to the cavalcade of left-handers in their bullpen. Aaron Thompson will be first, 7th appearance on the year. He's got David Murphy, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Roberto Perez due up.
Looks like we're going to get a pinch hitter for Murphy. Gary Sands coming on to hit.
Jerry Sands has gone 7 for 17 with the Tribe. That's a .412 batting average. Falls behind here, 0-2. Man, I mean, he took care of him quickly and quietly.
Well, Trevor May came out and was pumping the high fastball and had a very good changeup today that he used a lot to the left-handers. For Trevor May, he had 4 strikeouts. He did not walk anybody, gave up 4 singles. And actually, if you think about it, back in the 3rd inning, they had 2 outs and nobody on, and they got 3 straight singles to get on the board. That's their only run today. Other than that, not much happening again offensively for the Tribe.
No, not at all. Chisenhall 0 for 2. I mean, when you consider that their only offensive outburst today came with 3 consecutive 2-out singles in the 3rd inning. That's it. Lonnie lines it to first. Hard hit ball, but right at Mauer. 2 down. Roberto Perez 0 for 2 today. He has grounded out, fly to left. Thompson with a breaking ball in for a strike. Aaron Thompson, born in New Mexico, grew up in Texas, where he went to high school in Houston, signed a letter of intent to pitch for Texas A&M before the Florida Marlins drafted him, and he signed on there. Bounced around a little bit with the Washington Nationals and then on to Pittsburgh. Made his major league debut with the Pirates back in 2011. Signed with the Twins as a minor league free agent after the 2011 season, and perhaps the Twins will get the payoff here. Thompson off to a good start.
Pitched 2 innings in game 1 here and had a strikeout with zeros across the board.
Perez sends a high drive, deep center. Back goes Robinson. On to the track, makes the catch. Deepest part of the ballpark. Roberto Perez comes up just a little bit short. Indians are retired in order. 7th inning stretch time here in Minnesota with the Twins on top by a score of 7-1. The 7th inning stretch is brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And yesterday, Nick Hagedorn, terrific performance. 6 up, 6 down. 2 perfect innings of relief. Let's go down to Andre Osmoron, the big left-hander.
Maybe the highlight of the weekend, Matt, when you look at what Nick Hagedorn was able to do yesterday. Today, Terry Francona said he may have been overamped his first couple times out this year. His first 4 appearances, he either allowed a walk or a hit. Yesterday, it was 6 up and 6 down. And basically, Terry Francona says, look, he goes, I can't put my guys in a penalty box just because they don't have a good outing once or twice. He said, even with Brian Shaw, we're going to give him opportunities to get back out there that help him, but we're going to need these guys if we're going to win baseball games in 2015.
No,
if they're on the
question
club,
about it.
You know, if you're on the team, you can't hide a guy, can you?
The way he uses the bullpen, he needs every one of them, and he uses them well. But when it works, it looks great. When it doesn't look very good.
Well, it hasn't worked out so far today, as Anthony Swarzak has been battered around by his old ball club here.
Well, Plouffe has had a good afternoon right from the first at bat. That's his 3rd hit, his 2nd double of the day. Yeah, and he gets a pitch up in the zone, and he turned on it. And 2 base hits off the left-hander went the other way. This one he pulls off the right-hander. Not a good located pitch.
4 of 5 have reached against Swarzak. And now Kurt Suzuki.
This is the 3rd time this year the Twins have had 10 hits in a ball game.
Fouled right back. Swarzak delivers, and it's at the knees on the outside corner. 0-2. Suzuki high and slicing fouled on the right side, out of play. Indians will be headed to Chicago, where the White Sox will limp home after being beaten by the Tigers today 9-1. Back out of play. Paul Molitor's club got off to a woeful start, but won 2 out of 3 against Kansas City, and they're closing in on a series win here against the Indians. Suzuki strikes out, 1 away.
Well, that's what happened. You try and win the series, and if you can do that, they're looking to win 2 in a row here. The Indians, they haven't won the opening game of a series yet, so it's awful tough to win a series when you drop the first one.
Timeout for a pitching change. Mark Zubchinski's coming on when we come back. Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Mark Zubchinski. He'll be facing Oswaldo Arcia. 6th appearance of the year for the Indians left-hander Zubchinski. What a smash, and what a stop by Santana.
What a play. That ball was hammered. Garcia wants to look back and say something to him. What a terrific play by Carlos Santana. He gets up and hits this first one. I mean, this is going to be a great look at it. It looked like it was by him. That ball took a hop up, and look how quick that hand came up into the glove, beats him to first base. A beautiful play. Saved a run and gets out number 2.
Well, that was just a terrific defensive play by Santana.
Yes, it was. Not an easy one.
Escobar takes outside corner. It's ball 1. And it's in there for a strike. Evens the count up at 1-1.
Oh,
nice stop by Perez.
That's a tough one to block because it's down in the feet of Escobar, so you lose sight of it, I would think.
It's kind of what cost him a run the other night with Kruger.
Watch.
Down and in is a tough one to get.
Look at, I mean, he has to get out of the way. As a catcher, that's sort of got to block you like a goalie, you know, with somebody in front of you.
He caught that clean with his mitt somehow.
That was a good play.
Swung over the top. It's 2-2.
Now, come on, let's go.
Got a piece of that pitch. Trevor Plouffe led off the inning with a double. He's at third with 2 down. And again, Escobar just fights it off. So Perez goes out and says, let's try something different. Now the 2-2. And another foul ball. I give them credit. They keep staying with it.
Well, they stay with it. He keeps fouling it off. They're trying to go down and in, back foot slider him, and he gets a piece of it.
Where does persistence become stubbornness?
Well, let's see. You still have a pitch to work with. Maybe you want to go outside for one. They're thinking he'll just slap it the other way, but they're going back down in. Well, there you go. They did go away. Okay. As many as he fouled off down there.
So a runner at third with 2 down, and now with a 2-2 pitch from Zipchinski. And he finally got him to swing and miss, and look at how frustrated Escobar is.
One of the two are going to be frustrated.
After all that, Mark Zipchinski strikes him out to end the inning.
presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. (7-1) Minnesota. We're in the 8th inning. Jose Ramirez, the leadoff off for the Tribe. Aaron Thompson, a 1-2-3-7, stays on for the 8th and a first pitch strike.
Well, he's pumping strikes in there. 13 pitches, 11 strikes. Thompson is not fooling around.
Breaking ball hit, fouled on the right side, out of play. Again, it's out of play to the right. Tigers beat the White Sox 9-1. The A's lead the Royals 2-1. They're in the 7th in Kansas City. The surging New York Mets won again. They go to 10-3 to start the year. Looking at it, Rick, the Mets and Tigers are the only 10-win teams in baseball. Another foul ball by Ramirez. This at bat's kind of like the one Escobar just had.
Yeah, and he continues to pump strikes. You got to be careful when you get to 2 strikes. He will quick pitch. It looks like he did that to Jerry Sands when he came up to pinch hit on an 0-2 pitch. That one may stay in play.
Torrey Hunter on the move. Makes the catch. Our Circle K strikeout of the game. Take us through it pitch by pitch.
Well, it's down and in. He moves his feet there. He swings over a sinker. Now it's a slider away. He gets one down. Now they're starting to move it in a little bit more, and he fouled off another one and another one. And then he went with a fastball away until he finally gets him on our Circle K strikeout. He was upset about it, but he fouled off a ton of them.
Michael Bourne just waves at a pitch. It's 0-1. Bourne 1 for 3 today with a single and a run scored. And the hole 0-2. A little bit outside. Missed down and in that time. From one extreme to the other for Aaron Thompson. Warren pops it foul. That's going to find the seats. Thompson ready, the 2-2. Breaking ball up high, full count. Jason Kipnis waits on deck. There's the payoff, and it's ball 4. Time once again for a Mazda game break. Here's Al. All right, thanks, Al. At the start of the day, Oakland is the only team in the American League West that's even at the 500 mark. Everybody else below 500 to start the day. Kipnis takes a strike. Jason 1 for 3. 2 for 11 in the series. And Kipnis thought it was a ball. He was about to start after it. Decided not to, and he still gets the called strike. Slapped it out of play. He almost went after it, but he held up. And the count evens at 2-2.
Going to take a look at this pitch. It was a little low, and he did not go at it.
Pulls this one foul. Kipnis sends one high left field near the line, and Arcia can't get to it. Awkwardly slid into the wall, but he appears to be okay.
It's really the only thing he could do to stop his momentum. That ball is slicing away. It's good effort. I mean, you go in there feet first so you can stop yourself. You're not going to run into it head on, and you can see that ball did get a piece of the wall, so he wasn't going to be able to catch it. That's about as close as you can come.
Again, the 2-2. Kipnis bounces one in the hole. Right side. It's through. And Bourne will stop at second. And the Indians have 2 on with 1 out here in the 8th inning. Double barrel action beginning in the Minnesota bullpen.
Kipnis gets his second hit. That's the 5th hit today by the Tribe. All singles. But he finds that hole, and he laid off some good pitches to get something to his liking. And here they go again with 2 outs. Or excuse me, 1 out.
Michael Brantley 1 for 3 with an RBI single. And Suzuki going to go out for conversation. Let the bullpen continue to heat up. Casey Fiend, J.R. Graham getting loose. Brantley sends a double play ball potentially. There's the tag. Throw to first is high. Mauer gets the tag on Brantley. And the Twins turn 2. Terry Francona not so sure. He's checking with the replay to see if maybe they want to challenge here. And now he says no. Kipnis was tagged. And then on the other end, Mauer able to slap the tag on Brantley's shoulder. And a double play ends the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It remains 7-1 Minnesota. Making his 6th appearance of the year. No wins, a loss. An ERA of over 7.5. Mike Aviles comes into the ball game in center field. Ryan Rayburn takes over in left. Brett Hayes makes his Indians debut now behind the plate.
Down there, go. Okay.
And a strike called to Shane Robinson.
Robinson has had a pretty good day. 2 for 3, a couple of RBIs. He scored a run.
Down low. Out of play, right side. Shaw fires, and it's a check swing by Robinson. Did he go? They say no. Three-two pitch. Right back up the middle. Hits the bag. Nice effort by Kipnis. He almost came up with a bare hand grab off the bag, but even if he had, I don't think he was going to have a play on Robinson. So it's a third straight single in the game for the number 9 hitter, Shane Robinson.
Right back under. the glove of Brian Shaw. It hits the bag. Jason Kipnis ends up getting some bare hand on it. A weird hop, but yeah, that would have been an infield single all the way.
Brian Dozier spins out of the way. It's ball one. Walked and scored his last time up. Swing and a miss. Cutter over the inside corner. And he's got him down on the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Popped up foul. That's going to get out of play. How about Yoenis Cespedes in that game today for Detroit? Had 6 runs batted in. It's a nice afternoon, huh?
But yeah, salami and a 2-run homer. Very nice.
Dozier sends one to left. And Rayburn broke back, but able to come back in to grab it. 1 away. Time for our Pat O'Brien play of the game, and this one hurt. A 3-run homer with 2 outs in that 6th inning from Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, Anthony Swarzak wanted to go inside with a fastball, didn't get it there, and that's 3 points. But you know, it was 4-1 at that point. You had to keep it that way, but the offense of the Tribe just hasn't been there. I don't know if it would have mattered at all anyway.
You know, the Indians still have only mustered 1 run today on 5 hits. And this is an Indians club that came into today averaging 3 runs a ball game through the first 10. Back out of play. Shaw delivers, and it's popped up. Santana has it. 2 away. Now it's time for the Hyundai in-game box score. Trevor Plouffe with 3 hits, including a couple of doubles. Shane Robinson 3 hits out of the 9 spot, but the big 3 was the one we just showed you a moment ago, the 3-run homer by Torrey Hunter. Joe Mauer 1 for 4 today. 3 hits and 11 at bats in the series, and that pitch is outside. Down and in. The Astros lead the Angels 4-2. Bottom of the 7th down in Houston. Those clubs both 5 and 6 entering play today. Baltimore handing it to Boston right now, 8-3 in the 9th at Fenway. Baltimore started the day just a game back of the Red Sox in the AL East. 6-5 thus far. Boston was 7-4. Mauer swings and misses, and it's 2-2. Got a piece. Mauer fouled it. Hayes couldn't quite corral it. And it stays 2-2. Shaw ready, he lets it fly, and it's in off the plate, a full count. Runner goes to first, and Mauer fouls another one back. Brett Hayes back there behind the dish now for the Tribe. He spent the first 4 months last year backing up Salvador Perez of the Royals. Then he was designated for assignment at the end of July. Outrighted to AAA and spent the rest of the year there. Again to payoff pitch. Mauer lines it right at Chisenhall, and the inning is over. We've played 8. 7-1 Kansas City, or Minnesota. (7-1) Minnesota, 9th inning. Look back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Crooked numbers went the way of the the Twins. Why the heck do I have Kansas City?
I don't know, you were
brain?
talking about Kansas City, that's why.
And TJ House, who had a lot of success against Minnesota before this game, they had his number today.
Well, and what happened, his downfall were the leadoff walks, a couple of them with four pitches, in the second and the fourth inning, and then by the time he left, then it was a 3-run home run. And like I said, the way it's gone offensively for the Tribe, they weren't going to do much. They didn't do much with Trevor May, a guy who they had success against last year. And to this point, they have 5 hits, all singles.
J.R. Graham, the new pitcher for Minnesota. He's got Santana, Moss, and Sands due up for Cleveland. A foul right back. Jonathan Ryan Graham, California product. Outside. He was a 4th-round pick of the Atlanta Braves back in 2011. And he was a Rule 5 pick this past December by Minnesota.
Means he has to stay on the big league roster all year long for the Twins, or they have to offer him back.
When Atlanta drafted him, Rick, he was the highest player ever drafted out of Santa Clara University. He was the 4th round, 146th overall pick. Since Randy Wynn was a 3rd round pick of the Florida Marlins back in 1995.
Looks like he holds that ball with the split finger going into the glove.
Santana shoots it high and foul, out of play down the left side. Up and in. Carlos tees off and sends one deep and out of here. Off the facing of the upper deck. In right field for Carlos Santana, his 2nd home run of the season. Makes it a 7-2 ball game.
And it is his 100th of his career. And it was a no-doubter. He challenged him with a fastball in the 3-2 count, and Santana made him pay. He hit a bomb on the fastball. There it is, right there, belt high, middle of the plate. Almost got into the 2nd deck.
Yeah.
7-2 ball game.
But again, every Indians home run this year has been a
solo shot. Yeah, Han Solo.
Deep down the left side. That might get out of here. Oh, what a play in the corner. Yes. Did he make the catch? There's the signal. He did. Oh, man. Oswaldo Arcia went into the corner. All at once, it had a chance to be a home run, a chance to be a foul ball, a chance to be a double. And that's the way it's gone.
He ran out of our sight. It was a fair ball. Yeah, he had room. And then after one step landing, he runs into that wall. But it was a fair ball and a nice running catch.
Now Jerry Sands. Struck out his first time up. And a swing and a miss. .100 career home runs. Carlos Santana.
And 9 of them coming in this ballpark.
Up and in. And Jerry Sands draws a walk. So the Indians have a 1-out base runner now for Lonnie Chisenhall.
It's like yeah. Oh, yeah, it's Chiz here. I see that came out and I see.
Terry Francona talking with home plate umpire Brian Gorman. Not sure what that's about. Now he's going to come out and
maybe the switch is last inning, because what happens, you got Hayes coming in the on deck circle.
Oh, the lineup on the scoreboard is wrong.
Right, I got you. Yeah, you could hear him say that.
Yep. Lonnie Chisenhall awaits the pitch, slowly tapped by the mound. Escobar, gloves, fires, safe at first. And the Indians trying to claw their way back in it. Piece by piece, they get a couple on with a 1 out.
Well,
got to keep it going.
Chisenhall was on the move coming out of the batter's box. That enabled him to get a good jump down the line. And as Escobar had to come in, you can see that foot just does get to the base before they pick it. And that'll be an infield single. Get down. There it is. Close. Called safe. Now first and second and 1 out.
Brett Hayes swings and fouls it back out of play. Hayes fouls another one out of play. 31 years old. Another California native. Told you last year he spent in Kansas City. Had a good spring. The 0-2 way outside. Two on, 1 out, 1-2 pitch and a foul back. Brett's been a guy, I mean, you look at his career, Rick, he's never been able to stay in one place too long. I mean, every year it seems like he's making 2 or 3 stops, whether it be throughout the minor leagues and the big leagues or just bouncing around. Only in 2011 was he able to spend the whole year in one spot, and that was with the Florida Marlins. Played 64 games, but was in the big leagues the whole season. Good eye, lays off. Glenn Perkins, the Minnesota closer, is up and throwing in the Twins bullpen. The 2-2. Another foul back by Hayes. Putting together a pretty solid at bat here, and he can somehow find a way to get aboard. The Indians could make this thing interesting yet.
Yeah, Suzuki running out and having a quick word with the young Rule 5 player.
Wonder how long it would take Molitor to go to Glenn Perkins, though. One more base runner?
Well, you would assume that he wants to get this win and wrap it up for a series win. He was trying to get this young man some work, but you know, you can't let him back into a ball game.
Well, if he loses Hayes,
it would be a safe situation with the on deck.
Tying run would be on deck.
Yeah.
Here's the set and the payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. 2 down.
Little breaking ball slider here on the outside edge, 3-2, and he put it in a good spot. He does get the second out.
And up comes Jose Ramirez, 0 for 3 today. Outside ball 1. Mike Aviles would be next. Fly ball center field. Robinson's there. and the Twins take it. 7-2 final. Minnesota wins the series, taking 2 out of 3. They go to 5-7. The Indians will leave town 4-7. Trevor May gets the win. It's his first. TJ House suffers the loss. He falls to 0-2. And all in all, just another disappointing day offensively for the Cleveland Indians as they managed just 2 runs today. And so now, 11 games into the season, they've scored 35 runs. It's almost impossible to be consistent on successful on a consistent basis.